Perhaps we need to call on our divine psychologist to find the mystery hidden in plain sight in this story. It's the story of that great monarch, Harun al-Rashid. He was just and fair and an enlightened ruler. But it was his habit to go out at night in disguise in the company of his trusted vizier Jafar to see how his people were faring. And on one such occasion, they came across a man huddled beside an outdoor oven. It was Abdullah. Abdullah was a poor man, and he'd been ousted from his house by his wife, who said, "Go and don't come back until you can find a means to keep us. We're starving." So Abdullah had gone out in an attempt to find a way to sustain and feed his family. But in exhaustion, hungry and tired, he had recourse only to fall asleep beside the oven outside the baker's shop. Now, when Harun al-Rashid and Jafar came close to Abdullah, Jafar said, "Look, Your Highness, he's got very refined features. Perhaps we could put several gold coins in his pocket so that when he wakes he will have some means of sustenance." And then, as Jafar was getting close, he said, "If you don't mind my saying, sire, he looks very much like you. There is a great resemblance to you." And when Harun al-Rashid looked, indeed, Abdullah was like his twin. But Harun al-Rashid said, "No, let's take him with us back to the palace." And so this deeply fatigued and asleep man was taken back through the secret passageway that they always used, and he was placed between satin sheets. And then Harun al-Rashid and Jafar went off to sleep, but in the middle of the night there was a knock on Harun al-Rashid's door, and he was told that on the western front, where there was a war going on with people who were invading his territory, that the troops' morale had fallen, and they needed Harun al-Rashid to lift their spirits so that the war could be won. So Harun al-Rashid said, "Bring me my armor and my swords straight away." But then by this time Jafar was awake, and he said, "Well, what are we going to do about this man?" And Harun al-Rashid said, "Let him be the caliph." And so Harun al-Rashid went off to war, leaving Abdullah to waken in between satin sheets. He could not believe where he was, what had happened. And then Jafar came in and he said, "Oh, sire, you're awake, you've been ill. What can I get for you?" And Abdullah said, no, but I'm Abdullah and my wife kicked me out and "Oh, no, said Jafar. You have been ill. The doctors have been worried about you, but you are the caliph. What can I bring you?" So sweetmeats, and he was feted and feasted and cleaned and so forth and so on, and treated with great deference. So it wasn't very long before Abdullah got quite used to this. Whatever it was, he took on the raiments of being the caliph very easily, and giving orders to people and having people come with their problems, etc., etc. And it so happened that there was a petition from a woman who said that her husband had gone out to find work, but they were starving, and could the caliph help? So Abdullah, as the caliph, sent a bag of gold back, which we know was actually his wife and family. But of course the days passed, and Abdullah really got used to this life. But one night, when all were asleep, Harun al-Rashid came back from war, having won the war, and he said to Jafar, just let me sleep. I am totally fatigued after being on the battlefront. Then Jafar said, well, what are we going to do about this fellow here? And Harun al-Rashid, well, take him back to where we found him and leave a bag of gold beside him so that when he wakes up, he will find himself enriched. So this is exactly what was done. So the next day, Abdullah found himself beside the oven, wearing the simple peasant's clothing that he had worn. And he pinched himself. What happened here? Was it all a dream? But then as he was feeling around, he suddenly felt the bag of gold that was beside him. So he could not wait to get up and race back to his family, who welcomed him with saying, his wife said, oh, we thought you had died of starvation somewhere, and the only saving grace was that the caliph sent a bag of gold for us. Well, said Abdullah, look what I have. This that would keep them in wealth and well-being for the rest of their lives is bag of gold. And he shook himself as he was trying to tell his dear wife the story. He said, I just hope this bag of gold is not a dream. But of course it wasn't. It was very real. So Abdullah and his family had the well-being for the rest of their lives. So looking for the mystery hidden in plain sight in this story, we can ask, where do Abdullah, the wretch, and Harun al-Rashid, the monarch, the just, fair, and enlightened monarch, meet? As we can well ask, where do heaven and earth meet? Where do our right brain and left brain meet? Where do the subjective and objective meet? Where do the inner and outer meet? Calling on our divine psychologist, knowing that every character and symbol and etc. are aspects of our self. The wretch and the monarch are right brain and left brain. Heaven and earth, the inner and the outer. What is this, the mystery hidden in plain sight in this story? Where do they meet? What is the symbol here? The symbol that unites them, like the amulets or the glowing stones of other stories. What's the symbol in this story that gives us the answer to the mystery? Let me just zip my